What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to The Climb. I'm your host, XRAY. Today, I'm joined by two wonderful gentlemen in the bot lane. My first co-host is well known and a rat incarnate, League of Legends Season 4 champion and a retired collegiate player, Goblin. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
My second
Happy to be here.
co-host, my second co-host needs no introduction. The stream director, and kind of clutching on some of these streams. No, not gonna lie, the build chef, if that's what we want to call it, I guess. But we'll go with it. ProtonPlatPlayer, Triple P, welcome, sir.
Welcome, welcome. I am glad I am on this platform and gonna be able to post my takes.
Let's
I
go.
will finally be heard.
Let's go.
The deep takes, the Kate Oates from across
This
the map.
this
Kate
that's
Holtz
that's
from-
what this
from
that's,
another map.
That's what the climb is all about, bringing everyone's hot takes into the mix. So let's get to know these fine gentlemen real quick. So Rob, out of
Yeah.
curiosity, how did you get introduced to Summit? Because you have had this like long collegiate record of League of Legends, but how did you like join our league specifically?
So at Boise State, there were multiple league teams. We refer to them as like Team One, Team Two. And then there's like a Team Three or something. There's a
There
couple
was
people
one
on it.
long time ago. Long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah. Who was even on it? Who knows? Who
No one
cares?
knows. No one cares.
But no. So Wujin, uh, longtime BSU player as well. It's probably the first reason why I joined the league. And then, you've seen him around a couple of times, but Gimmick, another long
For sure.
history BSU player. So I've definitely been in talks with them when the Summit used to be known as La Liga. That's probably the major reason I joined, was just the community at Boise State was so involved in the La Liga scene. So
Yeah, I feel like Woojin, Daniel, he has introduced a lot of different people and like high ranked people at that to like Summit and La Liga. And honestly, I think it's made the league a little better and more competitive throughout the season. So honestly,
yeah.
it's great to have him. And I mean, he's a co-owner for a reason because he's clutching so many plays. But Proton Pop Player, when did you join Summit? I'm actually unsure about this one.
Oh, it was a spicy introduction for sure. But basically, there's another Discord called Bronco Tournament Gaming, which is
Oh
basically
yeah,
like
that's
a
right.
Boise State club Discord. And I just remember the announcements. It was just like this random post. It's like, starting soon, we're gonna have this draft from this thing called La Liga, play League of Legends. And I'm like, nobody else has like posted anything with League of Legends in like this server before, or in a long time. And so
I
I'm
mean,
like,
let's be clear. I don't think anyone really posts in the server, sadly. But
oh, well, okay, that's a story for another day.
Yeah,
But that was something I was posting on there. I click there and I sign up and I'm like, all right, let's see how it goes. I don't even get to see the draft stream, but I look at the VOD and then I remember my introduction was like Proton Plat player. Oh, newcomer to the league, but obviously he must be Plat, so we'll see how he goes. I get drafted onto one of the teams of all time, and the rest is history.
what season did you join?
It was season 3, so that
Oh,
would have
season
been
three. Okay.
La Liga season 3. That would have been spring of 2022.
Wow, that's crazy. I actually didn't really know like your origin story a whole lot, but like honestly, Proton Poplar has been bringing a lot of good content with his videos. I love his videos. The corporate budget cut versus the Disco Spiders one was hilarious. I love how me and
You and
DV,
David.
yeah, me and DV were like, it's like, oh, another Orin player. How
Yeah.
could this be?
And then even back in La Liga season 3, I mean, I was posting content. I mean, I made like 2 videos. There's like the original ones, and the first
Yeah.
one was the Goblin hype one where
oh
he's
yeah,
brutal transforming into the colossal type.
that shit's hype.
And then the second part after it drops Team Lost, he's just getting eaten. So
Yeah, season two of La Liga, and then season three had a long history of Goblin trying to make plays. Um,
yeah.
and then
the Colossi video was hilarious when I saw it for the first time.
and then season 4, he finally made it happen.
Finally made it happen. Yeah, just had
Finally made it
to
happen.
He had to
beg on
drive
my
four
hands and
sports.
knees. Yeah,
He drives four
hands and
sports.
knees. Draft a Zillion player, a Masters Enchanter. Yeah, that was a
An,
good season.
an Orin player.
Oh,
Yeah,
I knew
yeah,
Chris was gonna find a way to include himself.
a rock
Uh,
with a smile on it.
Rock with a
That was what
smile.
my
Rock
Honestly,
with a smile.
that season, I wasn't even playing Orin that much. I was playing like Ball Machine, Maokai, like pretty much only, and like
yeah.
it was just
Maokai's actually really good too. I think Maokai is super underpicked in this season, but that's just
yeah,
we can get into it later.
yeah. But anyways, these two gentlemen have been a long time coming in the league. So let's get into Summit Season 2, Week 3, starting with the first game. And honestly, I think this was game of the week in this week, Corporate Budget Cut versus Disco Spiders. First off, let me just talk about the series real quick. So overall, it was a pretty close series. Game one, it was just a ping diff. Giuseppe had X-Ray's Wi-Fi from season 4, just constantly disconnecting. But it was fine. Shinez came in clutch in game 2 and 3. Gorbachev had a really good showing in game 2. I thought I was a draft if. The Nocturne, the TF, like the double global ults, was really strong against Disco Spider's team, and they really just played the whole comp extremely well. Like just moving around the map, when someone was out of place, they just dove on to that champion, which was a lot of the time was Shmi and Space Smurf. So well done by them. And then game 3, honestly, ProtonPlatPlayer will say it, but honestly, I don't think Disco Spiders should have won this series. I honestly think it just came down. It came down to two separate fights that were happening at the same time. There was a 3v3 mid. Disco Spiders played it really well. No one really got picked. CBC used a bunch of ults, didn't really kill anyone. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, XRAY and Soulpan were facing DV and Cisco. Meanwhile, for some reason, CBC was just wanting to use every ultimate on XRAY. XRAY was an ultimate sponge that game. I'm pretty sure I got ulted like 15 times. Solo, by the way. But really well fight. Disco Spiders won both fights, and they ended the game off of a bot push.
What PPP? I guess this is a question for you, and maybe you don't want to reveal too much. What was the adaptation from game 2 where you popped off on Ezreal, but then you went from playing Ezreal ADC to back to jungle, it looks like? Or is this just
No.
Okay,
No,
that's just a
I
mismatch on the order. Okay.
mismatch on the order. Yeah, I went Zeri.
Yeah.
I went Zeri.
Okay, that's what I thought. So
Yeah.
double checking. Yeah, you come out of game 2 ahead as Ezreal Braum into Ashe Zyra. I gotta say that's probably pretty illegal, but I'm gonna assume it's off the back of a TF Nocturne
Yeah, the TF
ganking those
Nocturne was
lanes if I
actually
remember the
insane.
games.
Yeah, it was insane that game.
Mhm.
The comms were literally, and because the VODs are still up on my channel, it's literally Cisco going, "Wait, this is illegal," and just diving in on, just diving
The
in
classic illegal play detected.
on illegal
Yeah.
play detected.
Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
Disco Spiders, like, it was honestly Shmi has told me is like, hey, like I kind of messed up that game. Like I was just caught out like so much, and like he knows it too. Is like he should have not been there, at least not by himself. Excuse me. But yeah, honestly, Disco Spiders. Honestly, I think just got a super really clutch win over CBC. I think either way, game 3 could have went either way because like CBC or Disco Spiders was scaling it. Like the only weak side was top lane because I was just getting ulted every like 4 fights by 3-man ults.
I don't know necessarily if it was a thing of scaling, because here's my perspective here, because obviously I was playing that game 3. Is one, Soulpan stole the Baron, and that completely put a stop to our push.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
that's
2,
right.
in that last fight, I don't know what my top and mid lane were doing in the bot lane, um, fighting that, but I don't want to flame them because obviously hindsight's 2020.
Hmm.
But I when that fight first started in mid lane, I had 5 seconds on my ultimate, and so
I think.
if I had ultimate at the
Mhm.
start, that's probably a one fight right there. And also, if you look, I like flash away instead of flashing forward. If I had committed, I probably could have gotten a few kills, and
Mhm.
maybe it's a different game.
Yeah, and I
But
think the other thing is Sunny Blues didn't have ultimate in that fight as
Sunny
well.
Blues didn't have ultimate either. Yeah,
So.
that's the thing that CBC is,
Mhm.
work in anything needs to work on is just like communicating like when you have your cooldowns,
Mhm.
because or knowing when you have like the tempo, and then obviously game one kind of a tragedy. I don't know, ping diff.
Ping
So
diff.
Yeah. That is a Summit Classic where
Massachusetts, yeah,
someone disconnects
Massachusetts
for
different.
20 minutes.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, and then you guys had it again. The next
Yeah,
series as well.
in the next series as well.
Well, we'll
But
talk
we
about
didn't have
that
this
later.
stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But honestly, it this whole series, I think it was close. I think Disco Spiders just need to take a step back and like look at like, okay, what went wrong? What did we do wrong? How could we avoid this? But overall, I think close series. In my
I
opinion.
mean, when I DM'd like Sulpan and Pyrosis after that series, like Pyrosis said like, "Oh, Sulpan's getting the belt out after that one." So, um, yeah. Anyway, I think we should probably move on to the next
Yeah,
series. We
yeah.
talked enough about this
So
one.
yeah, that was Corporate Bunch Cut versus Disco Spiders, and like I said, close series. Either way, I think both teams are gonna still. I think they could both make playoffs. I think Corporate Budget Cuts just still need to get a couple more wins, but I definitely think they can make it. Moving on, and Setup versus Mystic Ninja Cyclones. You know, I think this was a 2-0, I believe.
No, it was a 2-1.
2-1. Okay, yep. My mistake. So yeah, after game one, I don't think this was a close series at all. Like game one, it was just it was pretty back and forth. A lot of misplays by Mystic Ninjas and Setup, but Mystic Ninjas had some really good fights and good spinning by Asuna to almost win the game with the Nasus on the Nasus. But game two, to be honest, I think this team name should be named Setup and Others because Setup honestly showed up in a big way on the Tristana. He had a crazy play. I can't remember if it was game 2 or 3, but he like was getting dove by Nutra Azrael and Ranger, but he like flash ulted them both on their tower and got like a double kill. I think he still died, but he got like a double kill out of it, and I was like, wow, this guy's Tristana is kind of insane.
A double ADC with tank jungle enchanter support. A classic.
Nah,
Rob
now I'm
Goblin
remembering the
comp.
Nihilate Tristana just solo killing my mid laner.
Yeah,
But
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was honestly, and like game three, well, the Ninjas definitely had a potential to win this game. I think it was just due to poor team fighting that lost them the series. I think honestly, what really sealed their coffin in this game was a team fight for third drink. Granted, Anseta played the whole fight extremely well, well spacing for the mount fight and not able to ult more than 2 people. Ninjas didn't have enough damage to win the game 3. And Setup is still one of the top teams in excellent teamwork and creative team comps. MNC, though, while they are still struggling to find wins, and I trashed him a lot, this isn't a bad team. I just think they're struggling to find something that works for them. While Asuna is not a traditional top laner, he is still holding his own in most games. His champ pool is not big, and so you can ban him out easily. So I think if Asuna could find some more picks in the top lane to work for him, we could see this team potentially getting some more wins. Because honestly, like you have Thim in the bot lane, which is honestly a monster in himself. Ranger, who's been a long time running player of Summit, and he's pretty decent. He's got a lot of wins.
Season 3 champion.
Season 3 champion. He was Season 3 champion. I did not know that actually. Look at me learning things today. So yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a good player. He's proven time and time again, like he's good. But like right now, this team is not looking very strong, in my opinion.
My number one tip to them after seeing Neutral Zero's POV is like just the tendency to want to VOD review after every play, but it sounds like everyone's tilted. And
Mhm.
instead of like VOD reviewing every play and trying to think about what went wrong, just think about the next play. And please, please, please stop tilting. It's like so that in combination with the VOD review is such a big waste of time on making the next play. I think this team deserves to get some wins this season, but uh, the way they talk about fights, they usually just take the fight and then talk about it afterwards. And by then, the enemy team's already making the next play. So that I mean that would be my biggest tip to them based on comms I was hearing.
Oh,
Absolutely. I think Mystic Ninja Cyclones, obviously they won their first game against our team, and that was, both teams were still like kind of finding out what they were doing. But in that series, like Asuna kind of popped off on the Yone, and that wasn't us respect banning it. But as teams are starting to respect ban that, and maybe Mystic Ninja Cyclones is wanting to put them on something else, like a tank or something that might be able to play more towards the team, it's going to dampen his effectiveness. I
mhm.
think Thim has kind of been underperforming proportionate to like how much hype he's been getting, and the bot lane still has a little bit to make up for in terms of the fact that they should be like pulling their weight a little bit more.
Mhm.
And then I think the jungle mid combo as well, just like this team is just kind of like Rob said, kind of tilts a little bit. And if you're tilted and you're trying to like, if you're making arguments within the series and like within the gameplay, like that severely dampens your effectiveness. You are not going to be playing nearly as well as your team could.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like I said, Mystic Ninjas is a good team on paper, but I just think they just need to find a way to like bounce back. Like after they make a, like say they lose a team fight, it's like okay, bounce back. It's like we're looking at the next play, like what's the next objective or
Yeah,
next play.
their players get a lot of gold, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they don't know how to utilize it because they just don't spend a lot of time talking about the next play. And I think League is a problem solving game at the end of the day. You just problem solve what you need to do. Like Nasus was super big, just utilize the Nasus. He's gonna split push, but then he randomly gets pulled to a team fight because they didn't talk it through ahead of time, and now he has no TP. So it's just like, okay, well, now our Nasus can't split. He doesn't have TP. We don't want to take this 4v5. It all falls apart, and then they're still complaining about it for 3 minutes. So whatever.
Yeah, but we will see more about them in a later talk later. BLS versus Goofy Gophers is the next game. Both teams, in my opinion, were very close this series. Both games were very close throughout the series, but Eludad, my man, this guy has showed up in a big way. BLS had a really strong lead and won some really big fights in game one to extend their lead to the mid and late game. However, there was one angry Viking in the top lane. That Olaf man, like
Yeah.
they got injustice on his signature Gnar pick, but it just didn't even matter because like the Olaf was just running through the rest of his team, and like they couldn't even do anything about it because they didn't have any uh like hard damage.
They had no answer. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, overall though, it was super close. Like it was back and forth pretty much. Like you had Dandy in the mid lane. Uh, gosh, who's Dowsing is in the jungle for that team. I forgot. And like both bot lanes were pretty playing really well. Granted, Eldaho and Gamer D are not like the strongest bot lane duo, but they have been performing well in these last couple weeks. But it was unfortunately Olaf in the top lane, man. Eludad is just showing us like why he's the best top laner in this league. Um,
There's a problem in the top lane, bro. Not sure how to deal with it.
I don't know. Just don't avoid top lane. Do not give this guy kills. Well, then You give him 400 CS, and then he just split pushes and takes the entire base. Yeah, I would say
Vladimir's
Goofy
one-shotting
Gophers,
me, man. I can't play the game.
that series was literally like a 1v9 top diff, and I don't know, like, because if you look at the KDA, obviously I'm Nikas 945 in game 1,
Mhm.
but then if you look in game 2, like, everyone else kind of has just middling KDAs on Goofy Gophers, except for maybe GYX 624, and then Elo Dad with 1034. I remember watching that because I was spectating it,
Mhm.
and I just remember this Vladimir just one-shotting the ADC every single fight, and it looked nigh unplayable for Nightmare. So I think if Goofy Gophers continue to just keep on playing through their top lane like they have,
Mhm.
like they did in week 3 and 4, that they're going to see a lot of success.
Yeah, and something about game two that I really want to talk about is the Eel Dad versus Dandy matchup. The Nasus mid lane, I was not expecting Nasus mid, but like his performance on the Nasus mid, he got 3 kills like really early on Nusra Az or not Nusra Azrael, uh,
I'm Nikas.
I am Nikus on the Tryndamere, which, by the way, I was so confused how I am Nikus was going to play on the Tryndamere. Apparently not too great, but he still did pretty well. But yeah, Dandy versus Elodad, I thought that was a really fun matchup to kind of watch. It looked like Elodad was kind of like losing his effectiveness throughout the game, like kind of like slowed down a little bit. But like in like the later stages of the game, you actually saw this Vladimir like absolutely pop off on a lot of these plays. And also shout out to my boy Gamer D playing the Zaya in both games, and he had some pretty insane damage in the later stages of the game. So good job, Gamer D. Shout out to that guy.
Nice job.
Good job. Good job. Moving on to the fourth game of week 3, Asterius Bonobos versus Misfits, the one that was played last night. This series was actually pretty close. Besides game 2 in my IMO, game 1 was a very bloody game, as we saw a lot of kills and deaths on both teams. Misfits had some really good early drag control, helped them out in the later stages of the game. Finally got soul. And, it was a mountain soul, so they're just really hard to kill, and they're, like, really beefy. Guanabon had a crazy game on Rek'Sai. Granted, Asterius Bonobos had to use a sub, which, honestly, Glovely didn't even play that bad. I think she actually played really well in the Cho'Gath, even in mid lane or on top lane. I think she played extremely well. Game 2, though, complete stomp. Asterius Bonobos. It was a 23-5 kills by the end of the game. It was not even close. But the two people I want to talk about from game 2 is Dragon Tooth and more. There was a lot of crazy plays by the Lee Sin. Plenty of insects, and Dragon Tooth had some really good Azir ultimates in those in game 2 specifically. Game 3, it was a little bit of a struggle. He didn't really show. Didn't have a whole lot of really good ults on the Azir, but he still played semi well.
I mean, I didn't expect to see Azir from Dragon Tooth, and I would agree that I liked it in game 2.
Yeah, it was, I think, proportionate to like the rank of Dragon Tooth. I think definitely it was a good showing on the Azir, at least in game 2. And game 3, it did all right. Obviously, they didn't win that game, but I mean, still did all right.
Yeah, I think honestly, if Dragon Tooth can granted he's not a mid player is the thing. So he doesn't have a really huge champ pool yet in the mid lane. He's typically a top laner. So honestly, what I'd like to see is maybe he brings out a top laner to the mid lane. I know he's a set player. I don't know how it's gonna do against some of these other mid laners, but I honestly think he could pull out some of the top laners and bring them into the mid lane, because some of them do fine, but some of them don't do as good as others. But I don't know. We'll see what Dragon Tooth is gonna do. Maybe he's gonna play more of the Azir, because honestly, he didn't play too bad on the Azir. So
if he was willing to play Azir, I'd recommend Corki. I think Corki is easier to pilot. That's for sure.
Quirky
It
would
was
be
my
interesting.
go-to mid laner when I got off-rolled, for sure.
That'd be interesting. But yeah, and like game three, I mean, Kanga showed us why he is top three top laners in the league. On that Darius, like was like 11-3, had a 3v1 in the mid lane to like stall out the game even more. But unfortunately, could not stall the game, or not stall the game, carry the game hard enough. Could not be the Elodad of Mysterious Bondabos.
I think also like it's different too because
Mhm.
like Darius is a champion that can like even if you're really fed, if you're not able to get your stacks, like you're not really a champion.
Mhm.
You just get zoned out and CC'd. That's kind of what they did, and especially what Misfits did really well in the last fight and in game 3
Mhm.
is they would do this thing where they would like focus the other champions, the weaker champions of Mysterious Bonobos, and then the Prominence Kanga, or just Kanga at this point, comes in with the Darius, but now it's like a 1v5, one like 2v5.
Mhm.
Can't really fight that, and then the Darius just dies as well. And on that note, I want to give credit to like Alteris for the zoning on the Poppy, and also
Yeah.
Wood Ranger for there was that execute play, but hey, that's something I would do. Um, in the last fight as well, like on this Jinx, using his gold, like level 18 Jinx, just being able to secure the game even when the enemy gets the Elder Dragon.
Mhm. Yeah. So something I was talking about, not on the climb, is I really wanted to see Red Ranger play more like traditional ADCs, right? So we've seen him play the Swain, which he did play game one and he did pretty well on it. But like we haven't really seen him play like any like traditional ADCs. We've seen him play the Ashe, the Swain, the Sivir, not like any like really like quote unquote ADCs.
Carry
Yeah,
oriented.
Yeah,
carry oriented.
because I
Yeah.
think Goblin and I would disagree that Ash and Sivir are very traditional ADCs.
Okay, carry oriented ADCs.
Yeah,
Late game
hyper
hyper scale.
scalers.
Yeah,
And
Like
I mean, I
so
would
Vayne.
count Sivir in there, but she has a bit like it's kind of tricky. It's tricky
Yeah,
to
it is.
pull off.
You gotta have 450 CS in 40 minutes.
See, this is why I bring the ADCs on this episode.
Yeah.
Lay
And
down the
Listen,
law.
listen here, top laner. I'll tell you how to play the role.
listen,
No, I mean, I
I
like Red Ranger's Jinx. I like Ranger's Jinx, and I've actually gone down to it in a custom game. Shout out first time Bard and first time Briar, but um, when you, I think the biggest mistake he probably makes from the custom games where I've seen him play ADC is when he gets a lead, he pulls the trigger too early and he tries to get into a mid game team fight and carry it. If he just plays a little bit more consistently and waits for his item spikes, you get like one cleanup kill on Jinx and on like a later team fight, you'll 1v9 the rest of it. I mean, that champion is just feast or famine in the moment. If you have three items, your Lord Doms or your Runins, whatever is the better itemization in that game. Team fights are so easy after one kill. But if he pulls the trigger too early with like one or two items, even though he has a lead, you're at the end of the day you're still playing Jinx, and that's a pretty easy champ to lock down and kill. So I think there's some mid game improvement that he can make.
for sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed his Jinx that series. Game two, he did struggle on it, but he did do pretty well on it still. But yeah, game three, I absolutely loved seeing him on the Jinx and on a carry oriented bot laner. But let's move on to the final series of week three. We Hate Gophers versus Don't Press Tab. This series was very close actually, and I wasn't expecting it to be. Because so here's the thing is so like
Elaborate.
Explain yourself.
we've
Elaborate.
seen We Hate Gophers kind of just dominate through the last couple weeks, right? But when I look back at their schedule, they've had I would say a somewhat easy schedule. So like their first week was BLS, which granted that was a 2-1, pretty close series. But the following one was versus Mystic Ninja Cyclones. So I think this game was like their first hardest game. And honestly, I didn't know how Don't Press Tab was gonna do, but I was very happy when they won. You know,
I was pretty happy too. I thought they
Yeah.
played it pretty alright.
For some reason, Goblin is very happy.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, game one, it was pretty close actually until about the third Drake, where We Hate Gophers got a 4-0, and they got the Drake, and then they just kind of like snowballed out of uh, out of control. I think DBT just went into a choke, instantly died, and that's why I think they lost game one. Any
Uh, I mean, there's a couple reasons. I like to pretend that game one didn't happen, and we just 2-0'd them because game two and game three.
Oh, okay.
But
Is that how it works?
yeah,
Is that how it
yeah,
works?
that's one way to think about it. But I mean, long story short, um, if you take Ghost bot lane, don't be afraid to use it. It's super OP summoner spell for dodging ganks. The biggest play was I didn't use summoners immediately, died to Belveth, then or like used my summoners and then still died rather. In the future, I get TP'd on by Singed, die there with no summoners,
Oh
don't
yeah, I
even get the
remember that.
trade kill on
I
Ash.
remember that one actually.
Um, this is the Belveth dream. She gets Rift Herald, walks mid. No one's contesting her because meanwhile, three members on my team are chasing Singed in the bot lane after he TP'd on me and killed me. So Belveth gets two towers uh, with her Zed, and meanwhile they're also hitting top lane and taking control of our top jungle. So I think there was a big swing that shouldn't have happened. I don't necessarily reject or I don't I don't regret picking Kog'Maw, but I think there's better ADCs there. Uh, for any bot lane that wants to know how they shouldn't play, you can go look at how I played Kog'Maw in that game. I took one bad trade versus Ash, and then we just kind of farmed it underneath my tower, and then Rakan repeatedly roamed mid and into our bot jungle. So, don't do that. Don't be Kog'Maw in that situation. You're not scaling at that point. You're just letting your team like lose map pressure and vision. Well, Rakan flash ignites your mid laner on repeat. So
I think this series was so entertaining to watch as well. But
it was fun to play.
it was fun to watch. I'm sure it was fun to play. Well, unless you're Zed in
It's
game
fun to
three.
play when you're 10 CS per minute. That's for sure.
Absolutely, the Caitlyn in game two, and the ultimate like ego check in that game was when the Nefiri goes on you, and then
Mhm.
you just do Caitlyn things, and then take two auto attacks, and the dog just
Yeah.
dies, and then you make the call to go mid and end. And there were just lots of things that We Hate Gophers can look back on and reflect. Because game one was really just like they want these, like, I wouldn't say cheese picks, but like they put Gabubi on Zed, which he's really good on, and then yeah, he got a few kills, but then we saw how that swung the other way in game three, where the Oxon just completely and absolutely bullied this guy. And so, like, We Hate Gophers, if they're going to continue to win series, they're going to have to, kind of learn to play as a team and not just kind of rely on,
Good movie.
Gourmet Cookies playing Singed or Olaf and Gabibi playing Zed,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not going to work versus well composed teams.
Yeah, like game two, I think because they had a really Don't Press Tab had a really bad invade like level one,
Yeah.
but they brought it back with XD losing it, getting a triple kill in their jungle, and two shutdowns for him and his team, and I think that's what
Planned.
really
Yep. We
yeah
planned that one.
I think that's really where they turned the momentum of the game, because I'm pretty sure they got a gold lead off of that as well, and then after that I'm pretty sure DBT had like the gold lead all the way through the game. So there was one play in particular that I think DBT was trolling a little bit. Rob, you can counteract this point if you want, but like I think
Yeah.
the there was they were DBT was four at Dragon. Rob was top lane. Goblin was top lane, and they're five and We Hate Gophers is 5-man strong at Dragon, and they're losing Dragon, which I don't even think they need to fight for the Dragon because I think they were up 2-0. Like,
Do you remember if it was pre 14 minutes?
this was
I want to say it was pre
I think it
14
was actually
minutes.
second drag actually. I don't remember the specific timestamp, but I'm pretty sure it was actually second dragon, and you guys had the first one, so you guys didn't even need to fight for it. You could have just given it.
Oh no. Okay, so it was pre 14 minutes. I have reasoning for this one. So I've been learning as ADC, if you're gonna go contest uh, Dragon Herald, a random fight in your jungle, if plates are still up on the map, you better have a really good reason to leave. Um, I don't disagree that fighting the dragon was a bad call, but I don't want to fight the dragon. I just want them to have to send more numbers than they need to stop us from fighting them at dragon. So even though I'm top lane getting 2 plates, like 3 waves, and then I think I eventually get the whole tower because or most of it, because the plates fall off. The value of sending 4 players to the dragon to what, in my words, soft contest it, is you force them to send equal or more numbers. That way I can hit top for free. So if I just have vision of them, I know who's coming for me or who's not. I got a shitload of gold in that game. In both game 2 and game 3 for plays like that.
Yeah, and yeah, speaking of game 3, like honestly, I think it was where DBT like won a lot, or yeah, DBT won a lot of big fight to help extend the lead. Specifically, I think it was either first Rift Herald or second Rift Herald, I can't remember, but there was a huge roam by Goblin, roamed up to help with the Rift Herald. It was like
Yep.
a 4v4, and Goblin got like 3 kills or 2 kills. And honestly, I think that's just what really like extended the lead, because Ash was still like bot lane or walking up from bot lane. So like it's basically a 5v4, and you
It's
guys just
you
stomp
want
them.
to, in short, as ADC, I don't want to do the walk from bot to mid to Rift Herald, but by shifting one lane up, at least going to mid lane, if they need me, I can finish the move and continue moving up. I think there's an argument to be made that it's not always, sending your ADC to Herald isn't always the best option, because for first Herald especially, the plates are still available bot lane. So if they send their ADC, you just get all the plates. The second you get 2 plates, you've probably equalized the Herald value. But Ash, where the wave state was, she couldn't have stayed to hit the tower. So by moving up and me being first, I just get more value than she could get by staying bottom. And then if she tries to move, she's late to the play anyway, which is kind of how it happened.
Yeah.
It actually goes kind of in their favor slightly, but that was more like an execution problem by us than I think a well played moment by them. We just kind of grouped up, and then I think we get like 3-man Nautilus ultied.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important not to get too much into the nitty gritty. Just save some time for the other teams. We can't have Rob taking all the credit, unfortunately. As much as he'd love to talk for 8 hours.
This isn't a
the
coaching
ADC
session, huh?
This isn't a coaching.
session. Yeah,
Put the belt away,
I mean,
Rob.
just like to kind of wrap this up, like just talking about the teams. I think honestly, DBT, this team is scaling really hard. They got 2 wins these last 2 weeks, so congrats to them. Honestly, I think this team is going to be seeing. We're going to see a lot more of this team winning in the next couple weeks. Honestly,
We have some tough matchups. We close the end of the season with Disco Spiders and Setup.
Yeah, so like you guys have a tough schedule still, but like you guys can definitely still make playoffs in my opinion. Just like looking at some of these rest of these
Chris,
teams.
you think every team's a playoff
No,
contender?
no.
I mean, if you look at
MNC
this,
is
Summit
not-
scoreboard, it kind of looks that way too.
MNC is not a playoff team. I'm already predicting it. MNC not.
Oh, already
making playoffs.
backpedaling. Already
I
backpedaling.
I literally said that. MNC not making playoffs.
Okay.
But
all right.
We Hate Gophers though. All right, this is another team that I don't think is going to make the playoffs. We at Gophers, I don't think it's going to make the playoffs because they're good to a degree. Uh, like I said, looking at their first two matches, they played BLS, which is a strong team, and then MNC, which is not a very strong team right now. You know, you know, they didn't have a really hard matchup. Gabubi hasn't really gone against any hard like mid laners yet, and then this last week they played XD losing
They
it.
played Choo Choo Charles.
Yeah, XD losing it, and I think who did we at Gophers play? It was gosh, who was
Goofy Gophers. There's the Gophers.
Oh
off.
yeah, Gopher off.
Yeah, it was the Gopher
and
off,
then and then I am Nikus.
I'm
Like,
Nikus.
yeah, so like I think if I am Gooby or Gabubi,
I'm Gooby.
I'm Gooby. Gabubi is playing against harder mid lane champs. I think this team is going to have a lot harder time cashing out wins, in my opinion.
Cisco is going to roll this guy on the control mages. He's going to pick Oriana into Zed. And any dive, Gabubi, this is my hot take. Gabubi is going to be 0-5 against Cisco in game 1 of whenever we play We Hate Gophers.
I'm writing it down right now.
Oh no. What have I just done?
All right, we got it. We got it clipped. We're gonna save it for later.
Clip it and ship it.
Clip it and ship it. Moving on.
Back.
That will wrap up game 3. But game 4, week 4, game 1. Don't press tab versus MNC. Mr. Rob, this was honestly, I think this was a lot closer series than it needed to be. Both teams were kind of both struggling to get wins under their belt. This game got played before their week 3 match, I think, for both. So, they were both looking for a win this series. I think Don't Press Tab was a 0-2 and MNC was, or no, they were 1-2 at the time. So I mean, Don't Press Tab had a really good team fight comp and performed well in it. MNC, however, I feel like they had two identities in their comp this game. They had like 3 champions that really just wanted to go in and like fight, and then you have 2 other champions, which was Ziggs and Soraka, and they just kind of like they don't want to go in. They want to poke people out with their abilities. I just think it was a little bit of it's like, okay, what is our real identity here? I think like instead of picking Ziggs, I think Samira would have been a better pick. I don't remember if Samira was up. I think Samira would have been an amazing pick this series. But
yeah, they do pick it. They do pick it game 2 and 3, but it doesn't end up doing a whole lot.
Yeah,
I have Kaylin into Samira, or I end up with Lucian into Samira, and although the lane doesn't go super in my favor, I feel pretty okay with the matchup. I just end up pulling a page out of PPP's cookbook, and I build some random hot garbage.
Oh, come on.
I love how you say cookbook, because he is the build chef now.
Yes, PPP cookbook will be coming out soon.
I will argue that Lucian Shiv first isn't the most ideal, but because I have 4 melees, I think the wave clear mid game was actually really helpful. But building Gale Force, QSS, and having exhaust was a mistake. And I think Lucian's just a difficult champion to pilot in a competitive setting if you're not absolutely taking over bot lane, which we didn't. Thim did do a good job neutralizing, but if you go and look at game 1, I would argue he did a really bad job neutralizing as the Ziggs, which is what your main goal is into Caitlyn. If he ends up seeing this, go look at the first base he takes. He should TP back to lane and break the wave, but he doesn't opt into TPing, so I come back to a lane that I'm okay with, and then I just continue dumpstering him as Caitlyn and pushing him off the wave. So
yeah,
game 2 I think was a bit of a fluke, and we honestly should have won that game. I just built like hot garbage and end up winning it out in game 3 after 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't leave up Twitch.
Yeah. Honestly, I think what game 1, what really like sealed the deal for you guys, that's that game, is Asuna like popped his ultimate and started running into you guys, but my boy Brissy had a clutch ultimate on the Poppy to knock him all the way back to his wolves. And I don't know what MNC were thinking, but they all decided, like, all right, our dog just left, let's go in as 4. And they all died, besides Brissy, or sorry, not Brissy, Thim. Austin showed back up to the fight. Didn't have ultimate active, and like Don't Press Stab had a incredibly team fight there, like losing no one, I believe.
I think it was like a target focus problem in that fight after the Nasus got knocked out.
Yeah, and like you guys got the dragon, you guys got 4 kills, and you also got the Baron. And like
Yeah.
that, I think that's what really sealed the deal for that game. Like you guys just were just so strong at that point, and I don't think MNC can even touch you guys. Game 2 though, like honestly, I gotta give props to Nutra Azrael. He played really well in the Ari. It was really
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun actually watching the mid lane. The Ari versus the Zed matchup, it was a really back and forth, and it was a fun series to watch, or fun game to watch.
I think every lane Charles steps into is a fun lane to watch, and it makes for a fun game.
The fun lane for at least one of the players.
One of the
Yeah.
players.
One
And
of the players.
listen, I'm game 3. Listen, Rob, you did great, right? You did great on the rat, but like I gotta give props to your jungler Gargura. Bro stole it is I literally in my notes I have him as a master thief. Stole not 1 but 2 dragons to stall out the series. Or
He might have even had a third.
I think it
I'm
might
pretty
have
sure
been
he
3.
had 3. He had
Was
3
it
in a row, I
3?
think.
It might have been
Mhm.
3.
really.
Or no, it was
No,
he
'cause-
steals. He steals 2 and we win a team fight.
Yeah,
That was
you
the
steal.
third.
Yeah, because you steal 2, and then you get the third one with a team fight, or like you guys they didn't even contest you guys, and yeah, like if he essentially stalled out the game an extra 10-15 minutes for Rob to build items.
Farm all of his camps
Yeah.
and farm top wave and mid wave and bot wave. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
game was really fun for me.
Least greedy ADC
Yeah,
player.
so I'm gonna be honest, Rob. Like, wow, you played ADC, but Gargura, I gotta give him the MVP for that series. Just off
Yeah,
of
we
game
don't
3.
win it without him stealing. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, overall though, like, I won't really say anything about DBT because we just shared our thoughts about them. But MNC though, here's my thoughts on them. This is definitely it was definitely a hard hit for this team to lose. They've lost the last 3 series in a row, and honestly, I think this team is going to start struggling to find wins and close out games unless they start changing something up. Because their next 2 opponents, week 4, 5 and 6, is Disco Spiders and Goofy Gophers. One of the top 3 teams right now, and yeah, so I don't know how this team is gonna, bounce back and get some wins under the belt, but I think something's got to change for them.
I think with MNC, it's kind of like the ghost of Pokeland Peas a little bit, if anyone remembers that team. if that team ever existed, is that
What's that?
Pokeland Peas is like, I was the manager and obviously we went winless, but I mean we won a few games here and there. It's just like when you have a team that is fundamentally not that good in terms of like each respective player. I mean, Neutral Azrael and Thim, they can like show up sometimes, but and Ranger, like and Asuna even, like all these players can like theoretically step up, but it's like when only one player steps up per game, and the rest of the team is either like tilted out of their mind or they're just not playing that well, then if you have like the other team who's maybe not every player stepping up, but none of their players are slumping, everyone's just playing how they're supposed to, it's just going to be better overall. It's more balanced, it's more even, and you have more kind of pathways towards winning the game.
You got to find the balance between I'm gonna 1v9 this game or FF man, it's not playable. I
FF,
can't
man,
win.
It's over.
Man.
Yeah, so like knowing what your win con is, because Asuna gets super massive on Nasus, and then they don't talk about the play ahead of time. Nasus TPs into a fight, And I think that's a team fault, not Nasus's fault, in my opinion, because they don't talk about it ahead of time. So then it gets really scuffed and they can't like close out the game. So if like the whole team is clear on what the win con is, like we're playing through Nasus or whatever it is, I definitely think there's some carry potential on the team. But like you said, they're just kind of they have these players, but they're not hitting their stride every single game. They're not as consistent.
And speaking of 1v9, I think there's a good transition into the next series we're going to talk about.
Yeah, yo, Misfits versus CBC. Listen, man. ProtonPlatPlayer. You know, how about let's have you take the lead on this one, Mr. ProtonPlatPlayer. What is your thoughts on this series?
So, game one, I don't really remember much other than I was playing Sivir and I was just doing Sivir things. I was just farming bot lane the entire game.
Cisco was 11-0, by the way.
Yes. That was literally like me just farming the entire game, and then the rest of my team was winning the game for me. And then I just come in, win the last team fight because I'm Sivir and I've been farming for 18 years. And then yeah, we win the game. And then game two, this is the quintessential like 1v9. This was so disappointing for me too. Like, and I kind of felt bad for my team because they kind of put all the eggs in the PPB basket, and we ended up with like cracked eggs at the end of it. I was like 7-0 on Jinx, I think. I had like solo killed Red Ranger 3 times, and it still was not enough to win the game for my team. And I look at the gold graph actually, like looking at the VOD, because
what was that the game where you guys picked up 4 supports?
It wasn't 4 supports. We picked Yorick top lane, which is probably the worst decision ever.
Yeah, that's right. You picked Karma mid. That's right.
But also, I think I forget who Alturas was playing, but he like did this level 1 invade top lane to like completely shaft our top lane in jungler, and yeah, Red Ranger suffered for it bot lane, and we definitely like dominated the bot lane. But then I think also a lot of it was Poppy. This was the Poppy game, right? I remember now. Alturas, I have to give him so much credit on that Poppy game because there were so many team fights where he got either Poppy ults on me and then it's a 4v5 where they do not have the one player that can actually win the game for our team, or he ulted the front line and then I just got killed. And so I think the Poppy pick into like the funnel composition was really good because it was Cisco playing Karma, and then I think was it Lulu? I think it was Lulu.
I think it was Lulu.
It's Yorick, Jinx,
Sejuani, and Yorick. Yeah, the Yorick was just I think a really awful pick. I don't know. I don't remember why we picked it. I think it was because we wanted to give top lane some independence from the Jinx, but then it just didn't get ahead, and the split push. And then obviously pulling a Yorick into a team fight, that's not what you need to do. And the gold kind of like, yeah, we had a huge gold lead in the bot lane, but that was literally like mathematically equalized by the gold lead in the top and mid lane. So I think that's all I got to say about that.
If you're gonna do the split push top, which I remember doing it with Sunny Blues, we'd have him play Trundle top, and we would just take 4v4s. You got to make sure he gets ahead.
Yeah.
So
and then game 3, Sunny Blue said it was an ego check. I don't really know for that. I think it was just comfort. I think I played Vayne, and I don't think Red Ranger had a really good time. Alturas, I talked to him after the game. It was Guanabon had like this like military deployment thing and they hadn't really had a whole lot of practice, and that game came before the Asterios Bonobos game. So obviously Misfits were still trying to find their stride. And I think the fact was like Cisco completely popped off on the Syndra. Like, this guy is a Syndra mastermind. I don't know. He got ganked one time and he just like killed the Vigar. And it was just not fun for anybody on Misfits game 3, especially when the Vayne gets ahead and the mid lane gets ahead. Then it doesn't even matter what happens in top and jungle, because at that point you already have your two win conditions on CBC ahead, and at that point it's like not really much you can do.
Yeah.
And then real quick, I misspoke and said Sunny Blues. I meant Pushing LP was our top laner.
Oh, okay.
Where he split push. Yeah.
My boy, damn.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. yeah, honestly, overall, I think it was a good assessment. That's kind of what I have. I think like game one was pretty close. Cisco popped off on the Oriana. It was like 11-0. Kind of smurfed. Good props to him. Um, Honestly, I think game one was kind of one sided though. Um, Nothing too crazy. I think happened. I don't. At least I don't remember. Game two was much closer. Honestly, I was really happy to see Sparks not play like a tank or like a bruiser. We saw him play or not play like a traditional tank like the Gnar or anything like that. We saw him play the Jax, and he still killed DV, and I thought that was like awesome. I was like, oh wow, he's popping off. Let's do it again. Game three. But like game three, honestly, I think it was CBC. I think won in draft because the Nocturne pick I just don't think is super great, especially when it's B3 and you only know it's an Ivern and a Thresh. And I think like Nocturne does not do super well into either of those champs, but I could be wrong.
Thank you for reminding me, because the Ivern pick was also kind of like this Giga Brain move, because we were like, all right, Guanabon plays Ivern, Giuseppe Hack, go practice some Ivern, because they're not gonna think that you're gonna play Ivern, right? And so we leave it up, because in the previous two games we had banned the Ivern, because
Really?
obviously Master is an Ivern player. I think they had blue, they had first pick. They do not first pick Ivern, and then at that point we picked the Ivern. And I think that kind of put them in a bind a little bit.
Dude, what did they first pick then?
I don't remember, but what the important thing
Oh,
is
you know what? I think it was Sivir.
Oh yeah, they picked Sivir first pick.
We're not serious, man. We can't be first picking Sivir.
Yeah,
so it's a Sivir comp.
Yeah, like I just think Guanabon I think kind of trolled his team here by picking Nocturne B3. Like you literally you can't like when you ult in you're gonna get like CC'd by like 4 different people by like 4 different spells at the same time. It's just not super great.
I don't know. I think a lot of game 3 was just garbage time to past like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Not because
garbage time. That's the best time to farm.
well, sure, it's true. It's good to increase your pad your stats, but like past a certain point in that game, you definitely get this feeling that like this is lost. Like unless we like did something tremendously troll, you're not going to come back in that game, and there's not a whole lot to analyze or take from that game. It's just like try better next time.
Yeah, so something to also know is like Sparks got 2 kills before lane. Like he had an incredible lead on
two
David.
kills on the
Fiora, and I was like, wow, like if Sparks should actually like just destroy top lane and be able to like run this top lane down, but he didn't create any advantage for like through top lane. Like he was at like 2 kills to like 10 minutes. Like it was just like I have to give props on DV for not letting him get any kills or like create a lead, but like Sparks not doing anything and like trying to extend his lead, I think is what really like what Misfits suffered with this series.
It definitely did feel a little bit illegal for Sparks to not capitalize more in that lane, but again, I wasn't a top laner and I can't say a whole lot about that. But I think there is something to be said that lead probably should have been expanded in some regard, especially when you have a Fiora into like a tank matchup.
But yeah, honestly, well played by CBC getting the win over Misfits. Misfits, like I said, this game got deployed their second match. What I say is I think Red Rangers needs to start playing some. I say real ADCs, but I mean carry oriented ADCs, not Sivir or Ashe, in my opinion. I think they're just lacking like damage.
That's what he did in the next series.
I know. That's this because like I said, this game was played before Misfits versus Asterios Bonobos, and he proved me wrong in the Misfits versus Asterios Bonobos. Played really well on the Jinx. So congrats to.
Proves you right.
What was that?
True, true.
He proves you right.
He did
actually.
prove me right. Thank you, Red Ranger. Moving on to the next series, Disco Spiders versus Ansett. Now this one was a pretty big series. It was two teams that were undefeated.
Technically undefeated.
Technically undefeated. So I mean, Disco Spiders versus Ansett. I mean, honestly, I think both games. Ansett 2-0 Disco Spiders, which good job to them. But honestly, like this series was incredibly close, and Disco Spiders had a lot of misplays. In my
Heard
opinion.
from the series is that I DM'd Sulpan after because I'm like, I'm sorry that happened. Like, because I was spectating the other series and he said we just threw 2 4K gold leads, and that's so. They inherited the Proton Plat Plague from the CBC series, I suppose, and but also I guess props to and setup for that. I heard High Cosmo kind of did a little bit of popping off.
Yeah, he played well game 2. Game 1, Logic picked Vayne top lane, which was really annoying. But I solo killed him. I got a solo blow, so we're 4 for 4. That's all that matters. We're 4 for 4.
The tradition continues.
The tradition continues. As if honestly, if I go 9 for 9, I might cancel the punishment, so I don't have to do it.
No.
I don't think that's allowed, brother.
You're getting banned from the server if you cancel the punishment.
Oh yeah, we're gonna take a look at that because I haven't actually looked at it since.
I think yesterday. We're bending some rules. I might have to make a forum post.
About XRAY breaking the
La
rules.
Liga Times and Summit Tribune are about to come.
Our
together.
Community values aren't being valued
within the climb.
But yeah, like I said, I think Vayne should be pick or banned in almost every series at this point because like Vayne got picked both on and Seta picked Vayne both games and it popped off. And we just Disco Spiders didn't really have an answer for it, and they
Rob's like pick Caitlyn.
Bro, Vayne is whatever, bro. Pick Vayne, go for it.
Yeah, I will say that Vayne is a very strong pick. If you can pick her into a lane that is not going to absolutely abuse her, like Caitlyn.
Yeah.
Caitlyn into like any other like either like Thresh or Karma or something that can just absolutely zone this Vayne.
I even think it's pretty illegal. I get to play Twitch. Like there's some really bad matchups for Twitch. There are some really bad matchups for Vayne as well. So yeah, those champs are annoying and they can carry, but if you can shut them down early, let them have it.
I think we should talk about the person whose and setup's name is based off of because.
Did he do well that game? I couldn't tell.
Setup played he played Ori both games, and honestly, he I think game 1 he played exceptionally well. Game 2 he didn't play he still played well, but I think he probably could have played a little bit better. But like Setup, like I said, I think this team's name should be Setup and blank, because like this man is constantly showing up in big ways for his team like every week, like he's making a statement for himself.
I mean, I think his name speaks for himself. He's been in this he's been in La Liga Summit for God knows how long.
He's been here since the start actually, because I was on his team season 1 of La Liga.
All I remember from the series against Am Setup was just Victor lasers in my face. This guy would flash over the wall. He flashed over the jungle wall, the blue buff, because I was trying to assassinate somebody else, and the guy just lasers my face.
I mean, that's why
I'm scared of his Victor, man, and I don't even play mid lane.
Yeah, his Victor and Vigar are permabanned, I think, every game. I think, like, teams have started to figure out, it's like, oh, we can't let him have Victor or Vigar, or else he's just, like, 1v9s. And then
listen, if you give him any of the 2Vs, you put the 2Vs together, what do you get? You get a dub. So...
Oh, okay, I like that. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, he just kind of smurfs on those. Oh, and then All right, I'll say it because he'll enjoy it. Beartail picked Shaco game 2.
Oh, the fact that you guys, the fact that M set up one with a Shaco on their team,
Illegal play detected.
illegal play. Okay, I can't say anything though because we also lost to a Shaco, so
Yeah, so
I don't know. Beartail, I guess the Shaco's just a good luck charm.
That champ is
he's
really frustrating to play against.
Yeah, there's a
honestly.
clip and clips and highlights of Pyrosis getting bamboozled.
Didn't
It's
he ult the Shaco clone? Someone ulted the
went
Shaco clone.
he went in on the Shaco clone because it was Shaco doing Raptors. The Shaco clone explodes and then the mid laner cleans up.
Uh,
Oh boy.
Oh, that's hilarious. But anyways,
yeah, I heard I remember Soulpan was talking about, or Baruto was talking about it, and he said like, yeah, Soulpan just really took it to me that game. Like, I was so behind on Shaco and I couldn't play the game. Um,
oh yeah,
yeah,
he
shout
couldn't
out to
do
Soulpan for
he couldn't do
the
anything.
lead.
Like he actually like I think he had like 6 or like 12 or 16 farm at like 5 minutes or something like that. He was like really far behind, but it
Average
just
Fairytale game.
but he was we like I said, Disco Spiders I think just played really poorly um, this series, and Disco Spiders is gonna bounce back next week versus MNC. Granted,
This is
it's
put the praise in the chat. I think the funniest thing too was in the trash talk that morning before the game was Soulpan and like Pyro. I don't know, remember if it was Pyrosis, but it was Soulpan saying, "Please pick Shaco, please pick Shaco."
oh really? Wait, really? I don't
Yeah,
know
you
about
can
this.
scroll up in the trash talk channel and you see Paul just saying, "Please pick Shaco," and Berthos. And then after the game, Bersol quotes that and said, "Hey, I pick Shaco, man."
I like it. I like it.
Anyway,
But yeah, let's
probably
move.
move on.
He obliged, yeah.
He did. He did. Moving on to the next series. We're gonna go quick through this series because I don't really want to talk about the controversy. But it's series Bonobos versus BLS. Besides the controversy, it wasn't a close series at all. BLS did not play well. Series
Yeah.
Bonobos, while yes they did technically break a rule, they played well, really well. Kanga played Camille mid, and my the Camille mid showed up in a big way. Um, One thing I do want to note is Injustice picked Fiora top into the Ornn, but like he did not create a large enough lead in my opinion. Like he was abusing Dragon Tooth in the top lane, but he just could not find the kills in order to like take over the game in my opinion.
This is the thing I wanted to mention. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead.
this is like why the roll stop thing was like so controversial as well. The asymmetry in like the advantage you get by swapping like a really good carry oriented top laner to mid, who's able to like blow up in the game, and then you just put your top laner in something like Ornn, who even if this Ornn is like 50 CS behind at 10 minutes, it's Ornn. Like, if you're not getting killed, you're winning the game. Like, you just get shoved
I know
in,
that
you
trick
farm,
well.
you get XP.
Me too.
Yes,
I do.
yes.
That's one of my favorite tricks. Oh
It's how
man, we
Rob's
can
team
play
won
Ornn here.
season. It's how Goblin's team won season
Yeah.
4 in La Liga season 4,
What?
man.
Okay, granted. All right, we're putting up the wall. We're putting up the wall here. We're stopping right here. I was creating advantages in the top lane by myself. GOIX was never top lane. Like I'm pretty sure he came top like 4 times in total in the whole season. Bro never came top, and I'm creating leads for
A
myself.
little bit
in
of
the top lane.
revisionist history going on here.
Listen. The fact that
Hey,
I'm
he won the season. He gets to write the history.
yeah, I get
That's
to write
true.
the history.
History is written by the victor. Okay, enough about La Liga season 4. We're no longer La Liga.
We're
going back
Summit.
to this. But
I
we're
need
Summit
more
season 2.
Ornn top on
But
my
this
team,
is,
bro.
But this is why the roll swap thing was so controversial as well. Just based off of that, like regardless of like interpretation of the rules or like the rulebook not getting updated, it doesn't matter because it's just like you put Kanga in the mid lane, and if he's gonna stomp Dandy like that, like never mind, forget the bot lane, which somehow like Asteria gets put on Ashe and just wins the lane every time. I don't understand that. It's just
which is
I
insane.
think
by
it was
the
just
way.
really, really well played by Asterius Bonobos in this series. Like
Mhm.
this adaptation, and so far, pretty disappointed by Nightmare and Boise in the spot lane. Like these are two like really highly ranked players, not just like in Summit, but like just like solo queue ranked. Like I think Nightmare has almost been Masters or has been Masters like once or twice,
Mhm.
and this guy is just not performing. And maybe it's because I think Better Than Spanish just gets too cute with their picks. They like put Nightmare on Seraphine. Like you
Bro,
don't do
Wuja needs
that.
to play. They need to play it like every game's gonna be their last, and Wuja needs to pull out his best champs
You need
because
to like pull out the Senna on Boise maybe, but then like put Nightmare
take
on the
over these
Curie
bot lanes,
ADC.
bro. You're one of the best bot lanes in the league, and I think you're giving the enemy teams too much room. You're like playing down to their level in some games,
Yeah, and
you know.
like BLS right now is 1-3, 10th place right now. Like they are
4 points.
4 points.
It
Like
is
they're bottom of the standings right now. So like I really want this team like because like just like you said, they probably have the best bot lane. Like this one probably rivals
Gobble's Eve.
Gobbler's Eve. Thank you. Yeah, Gobbler's Eve. Like, but like they have not been performing well. Like I do think this
yeah.
bot lane.
We
Is
we were even
good.
getting ahead of them until they picked Alistar and Darrell that one game. But no, I mean there is a disclaimer there though. Wujin has not had a PC for 20 plus days,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
so he's not
I
able to
forgot about
practice as much.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
also something I want to say, and I don't like being a DM leaker, but after game one, I like messaged him about something, and then he said, "Oh, don't worry, we're gonna stop this bot lane in the next game," and then after that, he's like, "Oh, we got ego checked." So I don't know, man. Just
Yeah.
they got some
pick
stuff to figure out.
pick regular bot lanes. Don't pick Senna Seraphine,
Yeah,
please. Please, this is not La Liga season 4.
take what you're good at, and then take what you're good at and get better.
Yeah.
Sure.
Stop trying to rewrite
Pick
it every
Alistar
time.
again. That was really fun to
Dude.
watch.
Boise Alistar is actually just like on another level. Just please pick out that. I don't know if it probably got banned. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I can't see the bands, so
I don't remember. I'd have to look back, but who cares? But it wasn't a close series. Series Bonobos got their first win, so congrats to them.
Then Gophers off.
The Gopher Off, the week match of the week, the Gopher Off. Unfortunately, the Goofy Gophers really goofied the We Hate Gopher squad.
They said it was goofying time.
It was goofing time. Like specifically one specific character in that top lane. We mentioned him week 3, and we're mentioning him again this week. Week 4,
the problem is back.
Elodad himself. Elodad is him. Like honestly, like Elodad is him. Like watching this series, I was like, wow, like Goofy Gophers, like they don't really have any like they're not creating any leads in like their lanes. They're just Elodad is just creating his own lead in the top lane, and he's like, yep, we're gonna win this game by the way in like 3 minutes. It's like if I kill this guy, the game's over. So and like I don't really have much to say about the series because like we had Gophers didn't really play well. Elodad is him. That's all I gotta say.
This is what I gotta say about this series. We Hate Gophers. Some holes are starting to form in their ship. They better start getting the buckets out and start trying to toss some water out because all I remember is I was streaming. I think I was streaming the BLS game, or I was streaming one of the other games, and all I remember hearing is that We Hate Gophers forfeited game 1 after an inhibitor.
Oh
was
yeah,
taken.
that's right. I totally forgot. I was like, they broke a rule.
Yeah, and then
What? I gotta write a form. That's alright. I'm gonna kill that joke.
Technically against the rules, but hey, I mean they already got 2-0'd. And then game 2, Gabubi pulls out the Talon. I think goes 4-1 on it still. But kind of and then after they lose that game, it's like Gabubi comes out and saying it's like, "Oh, I was playing my 4 fun champion." That's not a good look. That is not a good look, especially like when the rest of your
Yeah.
team probably wants to win. Like I feel bad for, some of the other members of We Hate Gophers when your captain, your manager, I wouldn't say is
Picking for
deliberately,
fun.
yeah, but don't even if that wasn't true, like it's not a good look. Like We Hate Gophers, hire a PR team, please.
Or just mute yourself in the Discord.
Yeah, hit them with a /deafen.
like I said about their week 3 match, this team is good to a degree, but like looking at We Hate Gophers, like their rest of their schedule, I think they're gonna struggle to find some wins. I mean, next 2 weeks they're playing a series Bonobos, which I can see them winning that week, just because Dragon Tooth is, once again the weakest mid laner, but he can still like hold his own. We saw from the Zir game, he played really well, game 2. And then week 6 game is Cora Wedgecuts, so we'll see how he can do against Cisco. I think Cisco will be able to hold his own.
0-5. 1-5.
Yeah, so we will see how We Hate Gophers hold up for the rest of the team. I think this team is a ticking time bomb. I think if they lose another match or lose another series like 0-2 and like really badly, I think this team may not be in the league anymore.
Oh God. Don't
Wow.
Don't say that.
I mean, that is a take.
Don't say
Yeah.
that. Don't say that.
Hot take.
Oh, boy.
Hot take. We Hate Gophers leave halfway through the season. We'll see.
Oh come on. That's too much of a hot take.
But
we're gonna have to. Okay.
You're
gonna have to send me the video. We're gonna have to cut this. This part's gonna be cut out.
Cut.
Cut. We're cutting it.
All right.
We're cutting it. But yeah. Moving on.
Speaking of predictions.
Speaking of prediction, that will end week 3 and 4. Moving on to week 5 and week 6 predictions. If anyone is wondering, the current standings for the predictions is XRAY is 9-11, and the co-hosts are 9-11. So it's tied right now. And can we get a drum roll, please, for the new the punishment that XRAY is gonna have to do?
Please tell me it's the maid dress. Please tell me it's the maid dress.
No. Hot chip.
The winner is One Chip Challenge.
Oh, that's so lame. I wanted to see the maid dress.
Dude,
Honestly-
I heard the hot chip challenge like got somebody killed.
Didn't he kill somebody?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm really going to try not to lose, because I think if I eat the chip, I actually might die. So, for all of you people at home that are watching, I hate you for voting for One Chip Challenge, but I still love you. For everyone who voted,
He just wants to dress up as a maid and have
I
a
did.
reason,
I kind of
guess.
did. I'm not gonna lie.
I literally said this like, Chris, it's 2023. You can dress up as a maid. if you want.
I
don't need a
deadass
reason.
was like, okay, what's like the worst, like what's like humiliating, but like I'll have fun with the punishment, right? And I was like,
Humiliating, man.
maid
It's
dress.
liberating.
And,
I mean, I've never put on a maid dress.
but I was like, okay, what can I make the maid dress like sound like really fun and entertaining for people to watch, right? So I was like, all right, how about we do this? I'll go out in public and I'll go up to random people
Ouch.
and
Okay,
be like,
we don't need
No.
we don't need the whole plan.
Just
Alright.
eat the hot chip, man.
no.
FF, man. Eat the hot chip.
We are not eating the hot chip because I'm gonna get all my predictions right this
All right,
next 2 weeks.
But okay,
So-
let's get into the predictions then.
CBC versus BLS. I went with
CBC.
CBC. I went with CBC. Co-host went with CBC as well. Corporate budget cuts. I think they're honestly BLS. I think they need to figure out, unless they show up in the bot lane, like unless Boise and Nightmare show up in the bot lane.
They're not going to.
ProtonPlatPlayer with his hot take right there.
Yes.
But we'll see. I'd like to see CBC win, though. I think they're the better team right now. So we'll see. We Hate Gophers versus Asterios Bonobos. Honestly, these two teams are both ticking time bombs in my opinion. Just one's gonna implode faster, I think. So I went with Asterios Bonobos, and co-host also went with Asterios Bonobos to win the series. And Setup versus Misfits is game 3. Both me and the co-host went with And Setup. The number 1 team for a reason. I think Misfits, while yes, they are ranked 5th currently, I think And Setup has the better team currently and is going to find a way to win the series again. Heiko is kind of a smurf, I won't lie. Game 4 of Week 5, Don't Press Tab versus GG. And this is the first disagreement we have. I have Goofy Gophers winning the series, and unconditionally, Don't Press Tab is what co-hosts decide. Not biased at all.
Not biased,
Yeah,
no bias.
yeah.
No bias. And the final season, or series of Week 5 is Disco Spiders versus MNC. There's a clear winner there. Disco Spiders is definitely winning that.
I mean, they just look so strong, so it's hard to argue.
And MNC does not. Honestly,
No, sir.
I honestly think BLS should be above MNC right now, but due to Week 1, MMC is higher than BLS. That is why they are 10th. Moving on to Week 6. Week 6, Game 1, GG versus MNC. Like I said, MMC not looking like a very strong team right now, so both me and the co-host went with Goofy Gophers. Misfits versus Disco Spiders is Game 2. Disco Spiders is myself and what the co-hosts decide on is who is going to win. Asterios Bonobos and Don't Press Tab is Game 3. Clearly, I went with the better team, Don't Press Tab.
I would agree.
They're scaling. They're going to.
They're scaling.
They're gonna make.
They're about to
playoffs.
hit their 4-item power spike. All right.
No. That's next week.
Oh,
That's-
3-item power spike.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this week 3.
I'm building
item
Lord
power
Doms right now.
Yeah, he's like this. So week 5 and 6, they're building the third item right now. So 7, 8, that's when they'll hit 4, and then week 9. Week 9, if they haven't finished this game by then, they'll finish their 5th item or last item. So, anyways, moving on to the Game 4, BLS versus And Setup, and this is the second one where the co-host and I have a disagreement on. I have And Setup, and the co-hosts have BLS taking him. And this would be a pretty interesting game because, right now BLS is at the bottom and Setup is at top, so you're basically having the 10th place team versus the first place team. But honestly, if Woojin and Nightmare can not pick, I wanted to say troll picks, but I know Woojin because he is a good player and he knows why he's picking those, picking the picks he does. So we'll see if they decide to start taking the game seriously. And finally, Game 5, CBC versus We Hate Gophers. Me and the co-hosts went with Corbett Budget Cuts. Not biased at all.
We're scaling. We are also scaling. The 3-letter teams are scaling. This is in fact true.
So what about
Letter team? So
what about BLS and MNC then?
Oh, they're scaling in the opposite direction.
Right.
Yes,
So they won early game, but they're now losing. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
They picked some really bad. So what about We Hate Gophers? Because they won.
They're also scaling in the opposite
wrong way.
direction.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yes.
So yeah,
this clip is not gonna come back to bite me. By the way.
So yeah, that is going to wrap up episode 3 of The Climb this week. Thank you, Goblin and ProtonPlatPlayer, for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that is all we have time for this week episode of The Climb, and we will see you guys in the next episode of The Climb.